Hydro has been installing smart meters throughout the area. BC Hydro says they're a great thing, a good idea. Others are not so sure. In fact, they think it's a bad idea. Welcome to FaceTime. I'm Dan MacLennan. Joining me in the studio today, I have two guests, Ron Henderson, who's with the Comox Valley Coalition to Stop Smart Meters, and Campbell River electrician Bruce Laing. Welcome both to the show.
Thank you. Welcome, Dan.
We had Ted Olenek from BC Hydro in here on the last show, and he told us all sorts of wonderful things about what the smart meters are going to do. They're going to bring us into the new age. They're digital. They help BC Hydro have much more control over the grid so that they know what's happening. They can monitor better. They can save money. Like everything else, it's going digital. And BC Hydro insists there is not a health threat involved. There is not a security threat involved. In the words of Ted Olenek, the World Health Organization, the BC Medical Health Officer, and the BC Privacy Commissioner don't have a problem with smart meters. You guys, I think, have a problem with smart meters.
That's right.
Definitely do, yes.
Let's start. Bruce, you're an electrician. You're relatively new to this debate.
Yes.
You've got some concerns about the nuts and bolts of the smart meter.
Mm-hmm.
Can you elaborate?
Well, safety-wise, one thing that they have, Corex hires these, I call them kids, with no experience installing them. And they're using, I believe, a silicon gel, which causes insulation instead of a conductor, causing overheating in the meters, which could cause a fire.
Silicone gel in?
The jaws going into the meter with the meter base,
Oh, okay.
which is against the, I mean, silicon gel is not approved for that. It's an insulator, not a conductor, causing a problem, causing overheating. And the meters are on an RF frequency, radio frequency, which causes higher currents in the wire, overheating the wires, causing fires. A lot of issues there.
A lot of issues there, you're saying, and you've obviously had a good chance to look at the old meters.
Oh, all the time, yes. Mm-hmm.
How have you had a chance to look at the new ones?
New meters? No.
So the one concern I've heard locally in terms of the Corex folks is that BC Hydro is hiring these folks and sending them out there rather than BC Hydro sending out certified, qualified people.
Corex is a division, well, one of the board members of Hydro runs Corex. To me, that's kind of a conflict. Anyhow.
Under normal circumstances, they wouldn't call up Bruce Laing, would they,
No.
to install meters? So
No.
it's
But
not
they
like
should have a qualified linesman doing it that knows how to do it properly, and also the safety. As a contractor, I cannot work on a live circuit without special flash gear. These chorus guys are out there just in a jumpsuit, changing meters, a live circuit, without any protection on. That's against work safe regulations. It's illegal. You can't do it. I can't do it. Why are they doing it?
So numerous concerns about the installation
Oh yeah.
and the safety of the device itself, based on your understanding of how it's being installed.
Well, also too, the fact is, I pull a meter. I look at the jaws. I can tell if it's corroded, if it's worn, if it's stressed. These guys haven't got a clue. They've been trained for 2 weeks to pull a meter, put a new meter in. They don't know what to look for. If the wire's been burned, if the wire's loose, if the jaw's damaged, they just pull them up, put them in, and away they go. They have no training, I believe, at all. It takes years of training to get to know what to look for. And these guys have got a 2-week course or a week course, and now you can go install meters? No, that doesn't fly.
Best case scenario, what should Hydro have done then in a situation where they're obviously on the fast track trying to put in as many of these things as possible?
They should have put them in the first place, but if they're doing it, they should have their linesmen doing it. Qualified contractors or linesmen that are qualified to do it. I don't believe these chorus guys are qualified. They haven't gone to school that I know of. No one's gone to take any training, proper training, in-depth training to do this. And if you had a proper linesman or a contractor like myself that knows what you're doing, wearing flash gear, doing it properly, they walk into your house, they pull the meter. If your computer is on, it's going to crash. No warning. They just bang, pull the meter. You lose everything on there. So yeah, it's not good.
Ron, you're with the Comox Valley Coalition to Stop Smart Meters. What got you started down this path in the first place?
Well, I guess I heard a talk on it, and from a fellow on Hornby Island who'd been a journalist for 25 years, and he opened up my eyes to a lot of things I had no idea of. So I started doing a lot of research on the internet and just found out there's a lot of problems with this technology.
One of the problems seems to be there are so many different problem areas, inquiry areas that we hear. You almost get lost in the forest. What are the biggest concerns to you?
Well, I think health. There's a whole health issue that's, you know, the BC Hydro says they all come within the safety guidelines. And that's true, but the safety guidelines are not where they should be. And there's just so much information and tests and scientists who have proof that this needs a lot more study. The guidelines are way out. They're
And this is in terms of radio frequency.
in terms of the radiation that's coming off of these machines. And there's the health, there's the safety. As Bruce was saying, there's been many fires caused from the installation of smart meters. Not as many in BC as there has been in the States because the numbers are different. But there was just recently a fire in the US that killed 4 children. And they believe it was from the smart meter. Now the hydro companies, they all say, well, you can't prove it's from the smart meter. But the evidence certainly shows to me that it's caused by the smart meters. There's been a few on the Vancouver Island, Port Hardy, and Nanaimo.
And BC Hydro says the meters themselves you're going to have problems with some electrical equipment, and they pulled 1,000. I think Ted Alnick said they had problems with 6, which was less than 1% error. But I think what I'm hearing from you is it's not necessarily the meter itself. It could be the way the meter is installed.
Could be, and also the radio frequency causing problems with the wiring itself. You know, the wiring is not made for this radio frequency. It's not made to handle that.
Now, when we talk about radio frequency, and we heard this from Ted Alnick at BC Hydro as well, we are essentially being bombarded, and have been for years. There are so many different frequencies out there. Hydro's response to those concerns seems to be, well, this is a very, very small amount. This is much less than you would get off of the Wi-Fi in your house. This is much less than you would get off of your cell phone. So can you hang your opposition to these smart meters so strongly on concerns about the strength of that radio frequency when BC Hydro can turn around and say, well, it's a minuscule fraction compared to what we've already got?
Yeah, I think that their documentation shows one number, but I've seen other independent studies that show totally different numbers. So somebody's off somewhere. So in my case, my meter's 3 feet from my bed. So when I'm going to be sleeping at night, if there's radiation coming off of there, I'm going to have it for all night long. So once I started researching this, I started to realize there's a lot of waves I don't want in my house. I didn't know they were bad. And since I did some research, I've eliminated all my portable phones. I've gone back to a plug-in-the-wall phone. I've eliminated my cell phone. I never have it turned on at home. I have to have it as a condition of employment. I keep it in my car and I only turn it on when I need it. I don't have a microwave oven. I don't have Wi-Fi. I used to. I took it out. I went back to a hardwired modem. And I have all those choices. But if they force me now to put a radiation on my house, I have no choice. I can choose to not have all these other radiations in my home. I need a choice to have none.
In some ways, if nothing else, the smart meter debate has, I think, raised that public awareness. As you were just saying, how many different signals have I got flying around? Not only everywhere, but specifically inside my house, or to that device that I have stuck to the side of my head all too often when I'm talking into it. Is it enough then to say, you're saying the information is just not consistent and that Hydro has one figure, others have other figures. Based on what we hear from Hydro, it sounds like you really shouldn't be talking into your cell phone all that often, or maybe you should be avoiding places that have that advertise, you know, free Wi-Fi, if you're concerned about the amount of frequency, radio frequency that's going to come out of your smart meter. Has this changed in any way the approach of the coalition to stop smart meters? I mean, it almost sounds as though at some point you're targeting part of the problem, if it's a problem, but maybe it's a small part. Does this mean the coalition has to expand its horizons?
Yeah, lots of the anti-smart meter group, or anti-Wi-Fi period, anti-cell phone, that's out there. And this is just part of it. I personally don't believe they should have Wi-Fi in schools. They've taken it out of schools in some places in France. They had it for 10 years and realized it was a mistake. And I think that the technology, everybody wants Wi-Fi, everybody wants cordless. It's so portable, it's so handy. They're not thinking about any long-range result, any long-range problem that could come up. Asbestos was a great product for many, many years till they found out, oh, wait a minute, it causes cancer. And there's lots of other products that used to be fine.
So does this mean should the coalition then be expanding its horizons and targeting Wi-Fi?
Absolutely.
For example, we had just recently had the city of Campbell River say, hey, we've now got free Wi-Fi in the community center. Is that a great thing? A lot of people would think, well, great, I can use my personal data device, my phone, my laptop, whatever. However, you're saying that's not such a good idea.
I don't think it's a good idea until a lot more research is done in it, and I think they'll find out in the long haul it's going to be a medical nightmare.
Now, once again, we sent out our intrepid FaceTime Streeter team to offer you some FaceTime, and the question, once again, was essentially, what do you think of BC Hydro's smart meter program? Let's have a look at what you had to say.
I can't believe that we are paying so much money out for meters as taxpayers when they can actually, if they really wanted to save money, they could have put it in a block area so that they only had to install one for every 200 houses rather than every house. So there's obviously some other aspect to it that we don't know about, that down the road that they're going to be deriving some kind of information out of each home.
There's a lot of miscommunication, a lot of mixed messages going on, and to be honest with you, I couldn't say if they are safe or if they are unsafe. I'm not really sure, and the information that was provided to me is 2 paragraphs, and that is actually insufficient information.
I guess they're the coming thing. We really don't have any choice. The other stuff is antiquated, so probably for the best.
My friend Michelle had one installed, and they read her meter wrong, and she called BC Hydro and told them that there was no way that her bill was that high, and they told her that she was crazy and that they knew how to do their jobs. And she was really upset, and after a while they eventually realized that yeah, they did. They totally read her meter wrong. There's no way that her bill should have jumped $400 in just a couple months. She was really mad.
I don't mind the idea of smart meters. It's just that they seem to charge you more, I've heard. They said it works better, but I don't believe that.
Yeah, people have like mixed feelings about them. I think at the end of the day, people will disagree with the smart meters because it all comes down to money, I think.
Comes down to money. Well, apparently there's more to it than just money, but that's one of the sales pitches we hear from Hydro as well. This could save you money. This could save us money at BC Hydro, because it'll give us a better idea as to our precise usage, and so we can target the things that are using too much energy, and we can tailor our usage. I hear skepticism coming from Bruce.
Well, think about it. You have a family with kids going to school. You're going to have dinner at 9 o'clock at night. You can do laundry at midnight. Come on, real life, you know, it's not going to happen. This is set up for a reason. Hydro wants a 3rd-tier system. I know for a fact they want the 3rd-tier system, which means I think it's between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. and 5 and 9 p.m. whatever. They're going to be a third tier incorporated. They're denying it, but they want that.
So you're saying they want to charge us different
More.
rates at different times of day. So
Exactly.
when the peak demand period is there, they
gonna
want you to pay
penalize you
more
for
for your hydro.
Definitely. That's.
You think that's the next step?
I believe that's the next step. Yes, they're gearing up for it. This is what it's all about. They're gearing up so that they can start penalizing people for using at peak times.
In fact, they've even done some research programs in the past already, where you could join the pilot project, and they would try to convince you not to run the dishwasher between 5 and 8 in the evening, and as you're suggesting.
Yeah.
So you're thinking there's more behind
I believe
this
so. Yes.
than we're hearing to begin with.
Yes.
You also have security concerns you were talking about before the show started.
Well, you know darn well, criminals are ahead of everybody else. So if Hydro has this system, criminals have also got it. I have a graph right here that shows Hydro says that they cannot monitor what you're using. They say that there's no way they can tell what you're using. I have a graph right here that shows where it's been monitoring refrigerator, the stove, the washing machine, everything is right here monitored. You know, and Hydro says they can't do it. I'm sorry, someone's not telling the truth here, because you can do it. It's right here in black and white.
So if you can do it, how is that a bad thing?
Well, the thing is, criminals can do it. Within a week, they know your lifestyle. They can tell when you get up, when you cook, when you do your laundry, so they know when you're home, when you're not home. In other words, free reign for the criminals to walk into your house when they want to. They know you work from 8 till 5 o'clock. They know the house is empty from 8 till 5. They have free reign to walk in.
So you're suggesting they'd be able to hack the signal coming from the smart meter and monitor all your power usage?
Exactly. They can drive into any city, any house they want to, and check out the lifestyle and know when you're home, when you're not home. My concern is, though, one step further, if you have children that go to school and you're working, have a pro D day comes up, your 13-year-old daughter is home by herself, the criminal thinks there's no one home, he walks in, real problem. Have a child sitting there with the criminal facing her, what are you going to do? So Hydro's opened the door to criminals walking in on a child that's home by herself, or you know what I mean? To me, too risky.
And yet the BC Privacy Commissioner, according to BC Hydro, says this is not an invasion of privacy. We really won't be able to tell all that much about it.
Right there, there's a graph right there. It's right there in black and white.
And this graph you got from National Institute of Standards and Technology.
That's right.
Guidelines for smart grid use. Is part of the problem here just that trust issue? Because I can hear all sorts of stats and figures from BC Hydro. I can find all sorts of stats and figures, as can you, on the internet, telling me a completely different story than I'm hearing from BC Hydro. I don't know who to trust. And I know that if I go looking on the internet, I can find something that will say anything I want it to. And yet, I hear concerns. I hear concerns about installation alone, security, health effects. Nobody really seems to have a solid grasp on how much of a threat, how much of a risk to our health these radio frequency waves could be. We don't really have a long database to look at. In many ways, it feels like we're flying blind. So it ultimately keeps coming back to trust. Do you trust BC Hydro?
Well, you know, I can go one step further. I think it's the government that's forcing Hydro to do it. Government's broke. They need money. How do you get money? Incorporate this program, you get billions, right? Government needs money. They're going to get it somewhere.
Government using BC Hydro as the
Why
cash
not?
cow.
Why not?
Imagine
Just like
that.
hey, look at ICBC a couple years ago. What they do? The profits they had in ICBC, the government took it. That's our money. That's our premiums we paid for insurance. We should have got back a rebate. Guess where it went to? General coffers of the government.
Now, BC Hydro can paint opponents, you guys, as well. You're standing in the way of progress. These old meters, we've been using them for 50 years, and we couldn't really track anything with them other than bulk usage. This is the new era. We're going digital. This is so much better. We can track, we can figure out where the problems are. If your power goes out, we know right away. We can get on it faster. We can save money because we can move power around. You're not buying that either.
To a point, but not completely. No.
Idaho put in an entire smart meter program, and it's all a wired system. So you have none of the health issues. You have none of the issues that Bruce is concerned with. And they still give all the gains. They get the gains. They know how to use their power more wisely in their grid. So there's the same gain to the hydro company, and there's none of these risks to the community, and they put it in at less than half the cost per meter that BC Hydro is putting in the wireless system.
So Idaho went with a wired system.
A wired, as well as Italy.
New meters, but hardwired as opposed to the Wi-Fi.
That's correct.
For cheaper.
Yeah. For less than half the cost per meter.
Hydro is also saying, well, these things burp out a little signal less than a minute a day. The rest of the time they're sitting there idle, I guess, or just recording and then fire off the daily wind-up, I guess, is well, how it works.
You can see on YouTube, but what happens is the meters, there's one router in every neighborhood, or maybe in every town if it's small. It can handle up to 5,000 homes on one router. But the homes can't send the signal to the router, so the homes send it from their smart meter to the neighbor's smart meter and relay it to the next smart meter to the next, till it gets close enough to the router, the information can be sent to the router. There's a YouTube video, and the guy has his test equipment, and he's standing between the house and the router, and he's getting a signal every 6 seconds. And this is in Burnaby, this isn't in California or anywhere else, this is local. So that homeowner in his yard is being radiated every 6 seconds for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, doesn't stop on a holiday, it's always there. So the less than a minute thing a day is spread out, and then it's compounded with the relay system. It's something I don't want to be involved in.
And it seems another big part of this is, of course, you don't want to be involved in it, but you don't really have a choice, is the impression we get from BC Hydro. You can say, I don't want that meter. You can leave a note out there saying, don't change this over. And Hydro's response is, well, we'll respect that, but we're going to come back and talk to you. And the implication there is essentially, you will have a smart meter. You might not get it right away, but they're obviously planning to put these things everywhere. It seems a big part of this is, once again, there's the trust issue, then there's this, I don't like anybody telling me what to do. I don't want to be forced to use this new meter if the old meter was working fine. Is that a big source? We heard some of that on the streeters as well. Is that a big source of where this opposition is coming from?
Oh, I think there's that. There is a certain number of people that are obviously upset with our government for pushing stuff on us. The reversal of the HST was just an indication of that. You know, we need to stand up and say, as a person, as a people, we need to have our votes heard. And there is quite a few people that's why they're ticked.
Because they're being told this is what you have to have.
Well, it's not dictatorship. It's like a dictatorship, right? Not democracy anymore. You're told you're going to have this, like it or not. You know, democracy is you vote on it, discuss it, and yes or no. Here it's a dictatorship. You're going to get it, like it or not.
And I don't think that Hydro has a definite end plan. And you know, in California, it was going to be everybody had a smart meter. Well, in the end, they have an opt-out program. And even people that got a smart meter, some of them had health issues later and were able to join the opt-out program, get rid of the smart meter, get their old meter back, or a different meter. So I think that if we can hold our ground till the end, that Hydro does not yet have an end plan, and we're hoping that there will be some kind of an opt-out possibility, or going to a different meter, something.
Is that the best case scenario you can hope for? I mean, obviously it does not sound at the moment like BC Hydro is walking away from the plan. You can tell them I don't want it, but they're coming back. You're hoping, it sounds to me like you want this to move up into the political arena and some pressure to be brought to bear so that Hydro can be stopped from its current plan to put in, how many is it?
1.8 million.
1.8 million at a cost of close to $1 billion, or last I heard was 930 million, I think it was. political action is where we go next?
Oh yeah, it's already in the works. It's already in the works. There's lawsuits that are going on. There's a lot of research going on. They're collecting money. It's you know, Bill Vanderzem was a big
In the HST?
in the HST. He's also not in favor of these meters, and he's doing organizational stuff, and he has a lot of supporters, and it's not going to end easily.
How well is that campaign working on the ground? You're Comox Valley based. How's it working there?
Not well. Hydro doesn't listen. Ted Olnick says, you know, if you've got a sign up, we'll respect that for now. That's not happening. I know my neighbor had a sign up. They didn't respect the sign. She wasn't home and they put a meter on her house. So they don't follow their own rules, and they're just going ahead regardless. If you've got a sign up and you're home, you're going to be all right. But if you're not home, you're not guaranteed not to get a meter.
So what's the next step?
One step further, I padlock mine off. I got a padlock on mine. They break it, I'll charge them. That's my meter ring, that's my meter base, and my padlock. They cut it, I'll charge them.
But they say you don't own the meter.
Meter base is mine, the ring is mine. It's locked on with a meter ring. It's just locked on, they can't touch it. They do, I'll charge them.
So, and it's come
That's
to,
one step, it's come to that
it's
point.
come to this.
Yes. They don't respect you.
Because we've heard that from others. Cage it off.
Yep, they have, people have. Yeah, they don't take no for an answer, so you just lock it off.
Aside from that, you're hoping that the political temperature is going to rise to the point where something can happen. You haven't seen that temperature hit yet, though, have you?
Not yet, but we got to keep going. We're going to keep going. There's the biggest problem is a lot of people don't really know. They don't know, is it good, is it bad? They just don't know, so they go along with it. If you're on the fence and you don't know, you should say no for now. Say no for now and check it out. Find out more information.
And Hydro has admitted Ted Olnick was saying, you know, they could do a better job of getting more information out there because as they see it, there's a lot of misinformation out there. So all in all, what we need is a better education to make an informed decision about this, which requires a bit of time.
But you can't rely on Ted Olnick for the information, or BC Hydro, because they don't tell you all the stuff. They tell you the stuff that works towards their goal. They tell you that, you know, they're going to save all this money because they're laying off the meter readers. They don't tell you they're hiring a bigger crew to run the computer system and to run the smart metering in-house.
So how can Joe Public figure out who to trust or what information to rely on? Are we calling for some form of independent review or some watchdog to say, okay, I've gone through Hydro's argument, I've gone through the coalition's argument, and here's what I think
we need
the right answers are?
I think we need something like that. Yes, we do. I think so. Because you're getting two different answers here, and it just, you know.
Is it too late for that now? It seems we've installed an awful lot of these meters already.
It's going to cost a lot more too. They're going to, in 5 years, they got to change them all again for another $1 billion cost.
And you think that's a possibility?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've read something on that. They have to change them all in, I think it's 5 years, isn't it? I heard 5 years. Got to change them all again.
Just because of reliability?
Upgrade them, whatever. Yes. Yeah. See, I didn't tell you that, did they? But I found this online somewhere. I found it.
Does the coalition favor the concept of an independent review?
Oh, yeah. I mean, anything to stall time. I still think it's not a good thing, and everybody's needs to research it. They need to find out, and don't just listen to one side. Watch both sides. Do lots of research. There's lots out there. You could go forever studying this on the internet.
That's the scary part. While we're on the topic of time, unfortunately, we've run out of it, but I would like to thank you both for coming in and helping us to discuss this further. My guests have been Bruce Laing, Campbell River electrician, and Ron Henderson from the Comox Valley Coalition to Stop Smart Meters. A little bit of business we have to take care of. Viewer comment. And of course, we got more viewer comment about the last show with Ted Olnick and BC Hydro than we've ever seen here before. Just a couple of comments that we've pulled out. Philip Stone from Quadra Island says, you do have a choice. Write BC Hydro with your refusal. Cage your existing analog meter. I did, and I received an acknowledgement letter back. It says they'll call to reassure me, which they can't. I've heard and read too much. Another BC billion-dollar boondoggle. Celine Noble wrote, this is typical of everything Hydro says. Ted Alnick is an innocent and is just repeating the talking points, but much of what he says is not true. Hydro does not respect signs. They come back to intimidate and threaten. There are serious health concerns, and people are being lied to about a very important concern. We had a lot of comments. I don't think we had any comments suggesting that BC Hydro was right on track, although we've heard that in one or two of the comments from people in the streeters. And so that pretty much runs us out of time for FaceTime. Of course, we'd like to hear what you think of the show. And so here's how. You can like us and comment on Facebook. That's at www.facebook.com/FaceTime4U. That's the number 4. You can email us at FaceTime, face-time @shaw.ca. And you can always leave comments for us on YouTube as well. And so ends show number 15. I'm Dan MacLennan. Thanks for sharing some FaceTime.